Hey guys, welcome back once again. This time I got a little stack of odds and ends and kind of a little mini tribute to one of my favorite artists, Mr. Alex Nino. Uh, some of this stuff, I guess you could kind of put it in the fanzine or the preview category. I know this came out, and I actually had a few copies of this when I was a kid, but it's actually like a preview of upcoming comics and all this. Publication called The Comic Reader, and this is actually a Superman cover by Don Newton, and I'm not sure if he ever did any more Superman artwork for DC or not. I can't recall any right off, but this is just a beautiful cover by Don Newton, who sadly is no longer with us. And on the back, got a very cool Plastic Man cover by Don Rosa of Scrooge McDuck fame, and also a Kentuckian, I might add. But this is pretty neat little books. Like I say, they'll have like color repros or black and white repros. I'm sorry, of upcoming books. There's basically like a just a smaller version of what I guess previews is today, except without color. DC, Marvel. You have some media news. A cool shot of Linda Carter as Wonder Woman, Leonard Nimoy. It's just everything about comics and comic-related stuff. And you have some Harvey stuff back here. You have some people advertising comic bags and so forth. And there's some more Marvel repros in black and white. I just thought these were a cool little collectible, just mainly for the covers. But there's some interesting stuff in here too. Previews. These covers are really nice. And I found another issue of that from the same seller, number 151 from 1977. You have a Superman cover by Jim Starlin. And I know he did a few issues of a DC Comics Presents, like back in probably late 70s, early 80s, where he did some covers and did a few stories. This is really cool. I guess cosmic type cover. And on the back it's got Nightwing and Flamebird by some artist named Herring. Never heard of the guy, but pretty cool illustration. And like I said, pretty much this is the same. Just kind of previews upcoming books. It was actually I just showed that issue in my last video, the first issue of Firestone. That's pretty cool. You got Detective Comics, part of Laughing Fish Joker storyline. Get some Marvel. We have an interview here with Mike Gold from DC Comics. There's a picture of Marlon Brando from the Superman movie. More repros of black and white stuff, repros. You even have a little checklist in here that whoever had it before had already checked a bunch of stuff off. Styx Comic Service. I actually used that service for a while, like back in the early 80s, I think. A little bit more Marvel and DC stuff. More adverts. So, pretty cool little collectible. And speaking of artists, big fan of Pablo Marcos, and I think Ed and Nick One did a recent video on some original art. He got Pablo Marcos, some just beautiful stuff. And I'm not sure if this is, I'm assuming it's basically Conan art or Conan type art. What's cool about it is this is actually a signed copy of this by Pablo Marcos. And it's just got some great repros of his black and white art. This is just beautiful stuff. He's just, and to me, a lot of these guys that were from the Philippines are really underappreciated and underrated. I know we do have a lot of fans, but or they have a lot of fans, but this stuff is just awesome. There's some painted stuff. Just beautiful work. Marcos did a little bit of work for everybody. He did a lot of stuff for Warren magazines, some stuff for Marvel and DC. All this stuff is ink wash. It's really, really detailed. I think these two are probably my favorite in this book. I was really thrilled to get this. And, kind of has a little quick bio in the back. And some big wow art, I guess. Yeah, I think this came out like 4 years ago, published by Big Wow Art, whoever that is. But really cool stuff. And another little, I don't know if it's scarce or not, but you don't see a whole lot of these anymore. It's sort of like a bigger version of the comic reader, but with a bigger size. Comic scene. Got some black and white repros of some Bronze Age books down here. And this is actually a Stranko cover. Drugs in the Comics. Take this out. Kind of, it's like I say, it's like a tabloid type thing. This is all Jim Stranko. Pretty cool stuff. Actually have a story by Stranko in here. And more previews of upcoming books, comics. So, pretty neat little collectible. This next thing was actually something that I had wanted forever when I was a kid, and I finally found a copy of them. I don't know how scarce they are, but I know they advertised this in a lot of DC Comics in the early 70s, and the late 70s, I should say. And it was like a little book of the art of Neal Adams. Of course, you got a killer cover on here of his version of Marvel versus DC with Atomic Mouse in the middle. You can see that. And Hulk booming in over the top. And it's not a real thick book. I mean, it's got a lot of black and white repros of his art. Here's actually a cover he did for the Warren Spirit magazine, a la Will Eisner. So that was pretty cool. And it's got a little bit of everything. It's let's see. I know some of you have got issues of the Hot Stuff magazine, and I'm talking about the Harvey comic with the Little Devil. It was basically like some sci-fi fantasy stuff, and then Neal Adams was a contributor to that. There's some cool work. Here you have I guess an aborted Tomahawk cover he did for DC back in the 70s. And I think this is basically a design he did for a Kung Fu t-shirt. You can see that. It's really cool. The Count Dracula movie poster. And this just reminds me, I need to get this. This was a good movie. Christopher Lee. I think he repro one of his covers from All-Star Western in the early 70s. Kind of had like a Zipatone effect, I guess, or something. We got some stuff for Ben Casey, which was like a syndicated strip that he did. And this was originally supposed to be the cover of Green Lantern, Green Arrow 76. So, okay, I guess you got, I'm not sure what that is, but it's Neal Adams, so it's cool. And I think this was like a sketch of one of the House of Mystery covers he did for DC, or maybe an aborted attempt. Not really sure. It's kind of hard to see, I know. If you remember closely, fans of 70s cinema will recognize this character as Billy Jack. I think this might have ended up on the cover of Deadly Hymns of Kung Fu magazine, or something like it. So it's actually just some original pencils. And Luana, whoever that is, but it's cool stuff. Okay, Capital Tape Man. I think this was like an advertisement for tape. And got a great Hawkman sketch here. Neal Adams. And another advertisement for Pop-Off Vodka. Gimpy appreciate this. I'm not sure what this is from, but somebody's getting some serious business. We have a little feature here called Brother Kane. I'm not sure what mag this was from, but the art is really terrific. I think you have a little parody of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid there with Redford and Newman. I think these are some Tarzan sketches. They're kind of light, so it's kind of hard to see. And here you have some more of, I'm sure, Ben Casey. Oh, look, it's actually, this is a strip called Tangent. This was actually before Ben Casey. Got some stuff he did for Warp. Not sure what that is. And there's actually a poster of Westworld, the old 70s sci-fi classic. Actually got some Neal Adams art incorporated into it. You can tell in the background there. Some stuff he did for Rich Corbin magazine. And there's some more. So glad to finally have a copy of this. You know, it's not exactly what I expected, but you know, anytime you get some Neal Adams collectible, it's pretty neat. So, okay, the rest of this video is basically going to be all about Mr. Alex Nino, who like I said, is one of my favorite artists. Uh, this first thing, it's actually cool in itself because I'm trying to get a run of these. But this is some Gold Key. This is Mystery Comics Digest. You got a cool painted cover. I'm not even sure. This is from 1974. And like most Gold Key, you don't know what the number is until you open it up. It's number 17. This actually really cool little collectible. It's actually in decent shape too. The spine's pretty good. And you have an ad for the next issue, number 18. These painted covers are really cool. But I found out actually Alex Nino did a story in here, and all this stuff is great. I mean, you know, but there was a story called, let's see, The Stroke of Death, maybe. If I can find it. Yeah, here we go. This is actually some Alex Nino art. Kind of akin to some stuff that he did for DC back in the 70s. Really cool stuff. So we have that. And I had never heard of this series until a couple of years ago, but he actually did a series for Image Comics, and it was called Dead Ahead. And it was actually another zombie apocalypse type story, but it was really good. Of course, these covers are gorgeous, but here's you have the first issue of that. And I think I've showed a couple of these before, but I didn't have the whole run, and this was, I got this from the same seller that sold the 80 sets. So I was really glad to get this. I think maybe like $2.50 for all three of these. So, but there you have issue number 2. Just beautiful artwork. I mean, you know, like I say, you can find these on eBay. You can get them, you know, for a song. So. Number 3, last issue. And another one that I'd been wanting to get for a while, and I finally found a copy pretty cheap. But it's actually an adaptation of Theodore Sturgeon's More Than Human from Heavy Metal. This Alex Nino on the art, and I guess it's, you know, more or less what you call a prose novel. But the artwork in it is just beautiful. So for you sci-fi fans and fans of Alex Nino, I would highly recommend this. Not got to read it yet, but like I say, everything else I'm really looking forward to it. Show you one more page here. Okay. And another cool little collectible called Alex Nino, This Is My World. A little smaller version of some black and white stuff. And actually this is signed by Alex Nino on the inside cover. And these are just some black and white prints of some of his stuff. Just to kind of give you an idea. Maybe a little story in there. Some really cool illustrations. But yeah, his stuff is just beautiful. And on that note, I finally got a copy of this book a few months ago. Found it on Amazon. The Art of Alex Nino. This is a really nice, thick book. Got color and black and white repros in it. Just kind of give you an idea how lush and detailed his artwork is. Like I say, he was known for a lot of his horror stuff. Try to find some color repros. Yeah, actually got a story in here. Tap dancing on a tender cerebellum. Some black and white stuff. Some of the stuff is just unbelievable, really. It's just so detailed. I guess the only way I can kind of describe his stuff, it's like fluid and disjointed all at the same time. It's beautiful. And I have read through this book probably 3 times already, so just some beautiful illustrations in here. So, for fans of Mr. Nino, who luckily we still have with us, I would recommend this book wholeheartedly. And guys, that's all I got for now. I'll be back soon with another one because I have several more piles of stuff to go through. So, as always, onward and upward.